Welcome to Movers and Shakers, the podcast where we dive into the stories, ideas, and people shaping the kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom industries. Today, we're joined by Jonathan Stanley, Vice President of Marketing and Customer Service at Caesarstone UK, the pioneer of engineered stone surfaces used in kitchens and beyond. Jonathan shares how he found his way into the world of quartz worktops, the evolution of Caesarstone from a niche manufacturer into a global brand, and how the company continues to lead through innovation, material performance, and design. A special thank you to Caesarstone, proud sponsor of the KBB Futures event, taking place on the 4th of December. If you're interested in high-end material trends, how kitchens are evolving, and what retailers, fabricators, and designers need to know, you're in the right place. So sit back, hit play, and enjoy the full conversation with Jonathan Stanley.
John, so 10 years at Caesarstone, a few years in Canada. Tell me about how you got into KBB briefly.
It's one of those industries, I never saw myself naturally ending up. I come from completely different backgrounds, so luxury industry, automotive,
all in marketing?
marine, tech, all marketing jobs. And I was contacted about a job with Caesarstone, and quite by chance, I had done my own kitchen the year before. So the Caesarstone name had kind of come up during that voyage of discovery. And I suppose I saw another premium brand, which was akin to sort of everywhere I'd been working. So I ended up coming into the KBB industry via a headhunter that said to me at the time, it's a stone company, you'll have never heard of them. And I said, it's not Caesarstone, is it? And she was aghast that I'd even sort of come across this brand.
Yeah, it was a good guess, wasn't it?
So began my journey.
Perfect. So the Caesarstone brand in the UK, can you talk about it in comparison to the global market?
Yeah, no problem. So Caesarstone's probably the second biggest engineered stone brand operating globally. It's been around since 1987, which is really when the engineered stone market kicks off. Lots of people consider us to be the pioneer. We're certainly one of the pioneers of that industry. So we've been doing it nearly 40 years.
And to cover off now, in the terms of pioneering, what was specifically is the reason why you're known for that?
I suppose it is this invention of this thing called quartz. Engineered stone surfaces, quartz surfaces as we most commonly know them. And then Caesarstone grew globally from market to market. So Australia was a real foothold for the brand.
Australia,
first of all. And I think in much the same way that everyone over there was fitting, largely laminate.
Not upside down worktop, surely. No.
Possibly.
Nothing like that. There you go. Just checking.
But that market really took off. So quartz was a brand new thing, and I think it captured the market's imagination over there. Then America and Canada follow. So we've got lots of other markets around the world. We're in 50 territories. Lots of those are via distribution. But America, Canada, Australia are our big markets. And in 2016, they took the decision to go direct in the UK. So that took about 6 months to start setting up. 2017 January, we opened the doors here. I think we delivered our first slab.
So we're in Enfield
Enfield, North London.
That's it,
and I joined December 2016. So it was all a bit of a whirlwind. But it was a fascinating time because essentially you kind of feel like you're in a start-up company, but with the backing of this enormous global brand, which is a nice place to be.
Absolutely. So is there a specific attribute of the worktop substance that is unique to you, or other people now copying what you do?
That's a very good question. I suppose there's two elements to it. Engineered stone was born out of this idea of having something better than granite or marble. And when we say better than granite and marble, first and foremost, back then when with the invention of the material, it was about having materials that didn't stain, didn't have hidden fissures or cracks, didn't need resealing, and of course back then, some of the products around you today. This is a great sort of yin and yang at either end of the stone industry. So jet black that you see there, the very plain one.
Very classic,
That's where the engineered stone industry started. So these were plain colours. Quite often they were blues or reds or greens because you're mixing in pigments. You could do anything that you wanted. But technically, it was a better product than a natural stone insofar as the technical performance. Then what happens is they start getting better aesthetically over time. So Caesarstone was there at the beginning with the technical performance element of it. And then in 2010, we take on a guy called Maul Krisher and we set up a more rigorous industrial design department. And aesthetically, the Caesarstone material gets better as well. So we're trying to sort of keep that balance. It looks organic, looks interesting, like a proper grown-up product, but it's got all of those technical benefits. And when I started with Caesarstone, what everyone said to me was, "Oh, you guys are R&D for the world." And I was kind of, what do you mean by that? And it tends to be, the view of the world was Caesarstone would do it first, and then everyone else would
So you were
copy.
the leaders, basically.
But I think because we were there at the very beginning of the industry, the R&D muscle and the design muscle for Caesarstone, these are fundamental parts of what we do. With the companies trying to always push the materials on.
I guess we'll get a few pans of the show area today during this interview, so we'll show people a few of the options, John. So 2025, where we are year to date, how's it been for Caesarstone? We've heard obviously the news in the market of a couple of potential bad news situations, and we want to talk positive if we can. So where is Caesarstone this year today, and what do you think the market's looking like for next year, 2026?
Good question. I mean, I think, you know, it's undeniably a tough market. You know, we're in the third year of a tricky economy. But what we are still seeing, though, is a consumer appetite for kitchens. So I think it is tough market. But the post-COVID elements of the kitchen being the heart of the home, more people doing hybrid working, more people spending time in the home.
So you're potentially, the consumer is buying Caesarstone product in other areas of the home too, not just the kitchen.
Well, I think that's a really interesting development. So if we look at a lot of the kitchen, independent kitchen retail partners that we work with over the last 18, 24 months, loads of them have now gone out.
And movie centres,
Bootility rooms, pantries, offices, bootility rooms is a great, the people that coined that will know when they listen to that who coined that. So because they're expanding out, and even the sort of the notion now of the sort of the home spa bathroom, the ensuite bathroom that's now, it's like a hotel suite sort of upstairs. For us, for a company that does engineered stone and porcelain, this is great, because what we're finding now is that we're graduating on from kitchen countertops and splashbacks and sort of quite elaborate islands, but we're on the dining table, we've clad a fireplace, we're behind the media wall.
And do the field sales team put those ideas into the fabricators, into the dealers' minds? That that's a continuous conversation about where else you can use the product.
I think the market,
it's part of it, the training, isn't it?
Yes, and but again, with any market, we've got fabricators out there, some of whom are quite basic, some of whom have grown out of generational sort of firms that started off doing English heritage, natural stone, and moved into worktops, to some amazing fabricators, some very big firms that we do that are at the cutting edge of what this industry can be doing. And I think the studio market is the same. Some are very traditional, they've stuck to what they're doing. Others are moving now across the home. Of course, you've got commercial, you've got contract, you've got retail, absolutely. 100%.
Different variations. So looking ahead 2026, what's new for Caesarstone?
So the big things that have been happening in the engineered stone market the last couple of years have actually, it starts negative, but it moves to a positive.
Okay, we like positive.
We've there's been some furore in other markets around engineered stone and occupational health issues that have come with that. Most, primarily this has been used in Australia. What it's done excellently is it's raised questions about the quality of all of the material in the marketplace. As one of the bigger players who have safety data sheets and certification that backs up
this is the cutting and the
Correct.
fabrication of
100% right. So it's raised benchmarks in fabrication, standards, which is always a good thing. It's raised the game for a lot of the material manufacturers, not least ourselves. We've pivoted, so we've now got a lot of materials that are coming to market, a growing number of materials that are silica free. I don't believe it's the whole answer. The answer really lies in best practice in the workshops. but if we can do things to mitigate against bad practice, then we will do that. And these materials are really interesting for 3 reasons. One, obviously the silica-free element. 2, what you're finding with the new icon, as we refer to the materials, there's a lot of recycled content in there. So if you're a house builder, if you're in the A&D community, you're really interested in anything with recycled content in it. And the third element really is because you're changing the material makeup, the raw materials are different. Actually, our design team can do a lot more interesting things with these materials now. So
going back on what you said a minute ago, if you're in the contract sector and you're using recycled materials, you can win tenders.
Yes, I mean, look, you know, this is certainly what the big A&D firms are looking for, and I think a lot of the house builders we deal with as well, they term it as they want to future-proof their development. So if they can use the very latest materials that are available, they will do that every single time.
Yeah, less wastage and recycling workshops over and over again. Very long-lasting. That's great. So if you look at, you know, me, John, I'm a kitchen guy, and that's my experience for 35 years. And I was always intrigued, you know, like 10 years ago, people said, Simon, you know, you can't sell a kitchen online because people, it's a high value and they want to see, feel and touch it, you know. And I'm intrigued about solid surface actually, because I would assume that there'll be some similarities where actually some dealers are now selling solid surface worktops online. Are you seeing a trend towards that direction?
There is, so if we look at the engineered stone market in the UK over that same sort of period of time, it's exploded. So the customer aspiration,
online sales,
generally speaking, in the market. So we've gone from a predominantly laminate market, probably still 50-50 on that, but quartz particularly has grown enormously. And if you look at every price point in the KB sector, the consumer assumes whether they go to the Range or whether they go to Wigmore Street, there will be a quartz worktop. So that in itself is
an option.
So there's, it's going to have to be. They see it as part of their kitchen. Materials have come in to meet sort of every price point of that, and of course some of those are being sold online. Now, coming from automotive, this is interesting because actually, if you look at a brand like Tesla, Tesla showroom. You know, you read about it online.
There's no
you
paper brochure. Everything's online and PDFs and
So I think you know, generally, sort of modern day consumers, we expect you and I consumers, and we expect to be able to buy a lot of our
more
things
higher
online.
value items online. So is that something that Caesarstone embraces, or is it with caution?
I think
from an operational point of view too, and obviously supporting bricks and mortar outlets, etc.
I think there has to be a combination. I think kitchens are a very tactile thing for a lot of people. The surfaces are a very tactile thing. If you think of any kitchen you've ever walked into, when someone says, "Simon, come and have a look at this new kitchen," with the best will in the world to a lot of my our adjacent brands, you don't start opening the drawer and swinging it backwards and forwards on the handles, on the hinges.
I probably would, but
but most people will start touching the surface. They'll run their hand over the surface. Oh, that's lovely.
All this feels nice.
So we're a very tactile thing. When the materials at the gestation of the engineered stone industry were sort of very plain with a bit of sparkle in them, which is this one.
That's it.
You could get a small sample and that would be it. You didn't need anything more, and that was one of the advantages. If we look at the product next to it, Darkrest, you need to see it. So if we think about this showroom in North London, we have a lot of consumers will come through here over the course of the year. But equally, we will do a lot of virtual.
That's to support the dealer basis. Come and have a look at it before you make the decision.
So a huge number of our dealer partners will send customers here to sort of pick their stone for their kitchen.
That's that by invitation, or is it you have to make a phone call and book in? How does that work?
Generally, you book. But as the you know, some of the studios that we work very closely, they have just come along. And actually, we're now beginning to open. We're just trying some weekend opening times as well. Such is the demand at the moment.
Absolutely, that's the way to go. So in summary about online sale, you say you have to embrace both.
Yes.
And what you're saying, if I understand you, is that people are spending high value items online too, without potentially seeing it.
I think there's an element of that for sure, but again, I think the kitchen industry is an interesting one. How long does it take to buy a kitchen? evidence suggests, we talk to a lot of our consumers, their buying journey may be 9 months.
Yeah.
If they're spending a reasonable ticket price on their kitchen, and it's going to be in for 15, 20 years, they'll take their time.
Okay.
So there may be multiple visits, multiple phone calls.
Yeah.
We send a lot of videos of products to people.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that leads us very nicely on to training. I'm a really passionate person about training in the industry, and I think we spoke before we started about qualifications, which we'll come back onto. But, talk me through how, let's say internally first, somebody joins Caesarstone. What does the induction look like, and how do you invest in your people?
Right. I think in the same camp as you. I've always loved this idea of professional curiosity. So whatever industry you're in, you read everything that you can about it. And again, I think we're quite lucky in the kitchen trade, but we've got some great publications and some great journalists, and you can keep up to speed. And that's actually, from an induction point of view, it's one of the places that I do encourage our field sales team now to keep reading online. The induction for Caesarstone will typically be 3 to 4 weeks of intense induction and then sort of ongoing. Okay. So if we look at the internal training sessions that we had last week, we have a head of technical, Richard Barrett. He's been in the industry for 30 odd years. Not a lot that he doesn't know. And he's running 45-minute training sessions with mixed groups across.
So this is continuous development in terms of investing in the people.
100%. So
cool.
this is our warehouse team, logistics team, drivers, customer service team, even the finance team are in this session. And really the idea was about, where does customer service start? Customer service starts at the order and goes all the way through to the delivery.
Which of course you're responsible for, aren't you? Customer service is really king, because customer service can make a very big difference on the next purchase.
It really does. And I think, again, if we look at the kitchen industry, lots of our partners will talk about, they don't do any marketing themselves. Word of mouth is everything. So we need to kind of support them with that. Because if something goes wrong with the worktop, that will invariably reflect badly on their business. So that's vital.
We never get problems in worktops, do we, John? We don't get problems. We always create solutions.
100%.
So I'm really keen to know about externally. So we talked about internally. So you're on that and you're doing continuous development with your staff and you're making that investment. So how does the field sales team, or perhaps there's other people that support that too, train fabricators and independent retailers? What do you do?
So it's an interesting question. And so if we look at the A&D community want constant learning. They want to be up to speed on the materials, up to speed on the legislation. Fabricators, when I joined Caesarstone 9-10 years ago, we had Caesarstone University, which was a really big fat binder which had everything in it. We moved with the times. In 2019 we launched Masters of Stone, which is an online...
Masters of Stone. Okay,
it's a totally free online learning portal.
So like multiple choice questions as you go through.
There's modules in there that you can do. Cool. You can rip through all of that. Lots of it's about applications. Lots of it's about health and safety. Take up of that globally is pretty good, but in the UK it's very difficult to get fabricators to pay attention to these. Some of the guys have been doing this, fabrication work for 20 years. You can't tell me anything. No. And this is one of the positives that has come out about the conversations around silicosis and occupational health, because of course suddenly everyone has woken up a little bit. Maybe I do need to learn something. It's interesting when
also how you can answer the question when there's an objection coming your way.
Completely. It's an interesting one for the KB retailers, because actually what I would say with the KB retailers is engineered stone, quartz, porcelain, lots of them really don't understand differences in the materials, why you would sell one over the other, or this notion that it's kind of everything that's available on the market. Comes with, like any channel, there's really good and there's really terrible and there's everything in the middle. And that is causing some issues, I think, for a lot of the KB
Well, that brings me on to Nigel Fletcher, so Worktop Fabricators Federation. So how does Caesarstone support the Federation? How do they support you?
I feel quite proud to say that the WFF was spawned as an idea on a fabricator trip that Caesarstone had put on.
Good.
So the guys are sat round.
You heard it here first.
Acknowledging really that they've all got the same issues, but that they never really talk to sort of other fabricators. And obviously there's commercials in all of this.
It goes back to our 4th of December round table that we're going to be doing.
Exactly.
So it's about making sure what's the needs of the group and what's the solutions. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really, you know, the industry players, we're all encountering the same things.
And by the sound of it, and this is my understanding from talking to Nigel, you're all now talking to each other a lot more than perhaps you did previously.
Yes. And I think again, you know, the silicosis issue has kind of focused everyone's mind a little bit. Yeah. And like all areas of the KBB industry, you know, this need for best practice, this need for professionalisation. So we were a founding and anchor sponsor of the WFF.
Right.
I think we said to them from the outset, if health and safety was going to be key, then count us in. We've been a sponsor of them ever since. I think Nigel has done an amazing job in really driving their presence.
I see him at the installer shed, these blooming big, what do you call, spacesuit things, and thinking, what the hell, what's going on?
He's doing a great job, but he's come from fabrication, so he understands fabrication.
Yes.
I think there is a great board of directors at the WFF as well. And I think they're genuine about what they're trying to do. So we tend to work very closely with them. Okay. So for example, earlier this year, we were planning to do direct mails to all of our fabricator base. Okay. And actually we ended up doing this in conjunction.
It's just education-wise.
Yes. So this was about promotion of our Masters of Stone, but it was an opportunity to also loop in the WFF and give them a plug. And also we worked with the HSE who had a survey running for fabricators at the time. So it ended up being a three-way piece. And I think that sort of collaboration in the market is really important.
Fantastic. Looking at things now generically, so what advice, John, could you have for, let's say, an independent retailer or a fabricator that says, you know what, John, I'd really love to sell more of your product, but there's just less people either coming in the showroom or there's less orders coming to our manufacturing facility. What advice can you give a business on how to generate and stimulate, from a marketing background, more traffic?
From a kitchen retailer perspective, I think there is really an onus on them to try and learn a bit more about the product. And the reason I say that
back to basics almost.
I think it is a back to basics. I think you're right. I think because the customers are asking more. Right. You've got the fabrication industry at large over the last 5 years has gone from being sort of background peripheral figures in the KB world to now being online saying trade prices. Yeah, they're doing the research. So the end consumer, who's actually, you know, at the end of the day putting their hand in their pocket, they're shopping around. So if they do go to a high street retailer,
they want the knowledge, don't they?
They want to find out themselves. They want to do their research.
Check an AI, and it can give you. They want someone that knows what they're talking about.
That's really interesting. I also have always believed that you know, you have that first conversation at home with your other half. Shall we do the kitchen? Over a glass of wine, the laptop comes out, and you immediately start researching all of these things. So if someone goes into a kitchen retailer and asks questions about the worktop, why this over that? Why this material type and not that one? And you can't answer. Well, invariably they will. But one's £100, one's £250. Well, I'll have the £100 one then. Yes. And I think that's where a lot of it has. That's really interesting. So your advice would be to other manufacturers, not necessarily in worktops or solid surfaces, but to think about who does the training for the dealers and the outlets, and potentially making that a bigger part of what they do, to make sure that the knowledge is there with the business owners, so when they are asked the question, they're hitting the spot to justify the price. 100%. And it's not just about the price, because I think, you know, the price differentials, it comes back to this thing, what does a kitchen cost? Well, we can't answer that as an industry. I've seen many panels that have tried to sort of kind of nail that down. Question, and the worktop's exactly the same. What should I spend on the worktop? Well, you know, how important to it is in your business. But I think it's that general understanding of the stone category, natural stone, engineered stone, porcelain, however you want to sort of refer to it, or where you want to major. I think the more you can understand about it, the better.
Yeah.
I think we encourage our field sales team to kind of give it, of course we're going to push Caesarstone as a brand, but to try and give an overview. One of the advantages that we've got is because we do quartz, silica-free, porcelain, we can talk fairly openly sort of about the advantages of this, or why you would take one over the other. We've obviously working with a large number of fabricators in the UK as well, which also allows us, most kitchen retailers will have their own fabricator, but we can talk about that part of the business as well.
Good.
Because it is a big part, it's probably 20% of the kitchen project is the top.
Right.
It's the bit that takes a lot of the brunt in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's the only bit that the kitchen, or a lot of the kitchen retailers won't be handling themselves.
Right.
So they're deferring to a third
you're
party
waiting
on
to get
that.
the final bit
and
done,
it's also the last thing that goes in.
Right. Yeah.
So there's
and they get paid then. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and this is it. And so there's a lot riding on it.
Yes.
There's a lot riding on it.
I can imagine. So the understanding of that process and the product is so key. So on the back of that, so in the industry, can you think of, in your experience, a learning journey of such a conversation we just had that you've admired?
A learning journey that I've admired.
Or an individual potentially.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that have covered. I'm just trying to think. You know, there's individual kitchen designers. I'm not going to.
Oh, right.
I'm not going to mention them here. Their egos are quite sizable. But they're really good at what they do. They're how they've moved through understanding of what we do as a category, how they've moved through the understanding of what goes on in the industry, changing consumer needs, all of this. That's always sort of quite impressive. We have got sales reps who have also. A curious thing about the sales team at Caesarstone is a lot of the most successful ones that we've had over the years have not come from the kitchen or stone industry.
That's interesting, yeah.
So I'm trying to think of people that we've had sort of through
that have learned the industry from
FMCG and
in the deep end almost,
But it comes back to that professional curiosity.
Yeah. Maybe what we're saying there, perhaps maybe if companies hard on more attitude and the determination, drive, you're almost saying that it's not necessarily somebody from KBB, but somebody wants to learn, goes back to that training element, I think
and
they're willing to learn and take new ideas,
not casting aspersions, we're both men of a certain age, you're still learning. We had a change of MD here a couple of years ago. I'm in my early 50s, I'm learning from watching someone else in that position.
I'm almost there. There you go,
That's what I thought. 30-something, late 30s?
We'll come back to that, as they say, that's it. So, we were talking about, before we started filming, actually, we had a very brief discussion about my favourite subject, apprenticeships. And, what advice could you offer, your trading partners on, if they were thinking about hiring an apprentice, didn't know where to go, what advice would you give them about where to find the information out or who to speak to in the industry?
That's a really good question. I think it's as again, coming from the car industry, the car industry presents itself really well.
Okay.
You can go and find very readily what this contribution is to GDP, how many people are working in it, all of the different jobs that you could go into in the car industry. And the kitchen industry, the kitchen, bedroom, bathroom industry doesn't necessarily do that. There's bits of information here and there, and there's some very good people.
It's more fragmented.
It's more fragmented. So I think, that's one of the things that we have to probably look at as a collective. First of all, is actually, if I was an 18-year-old college student thinking, how do I find out about this, or this looks vaguely interesting, how do I get into it, how do I find any of this information in the first place?
So if somebody was to call into Caesarstone and say, we're one of your trading partners, we're thinking about hiring an apprentice, at this moment in time you would probably be a little bit, let's say, not sure which direction you would send them potentially to get information.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think we know that there's some people in the industry that can help, and a number of them we've sort of discussed. But I think we can do a better job as an industry of kind of giving a.
We've got what we'll do. We'll put in the link in the in this film. We've got a fantastic link about how to hire, and there's like 10 easy steps, and we'll put that in the video link of this film, John, for definite. So coming on from that, so should an apprentice be called an apprentice in this industry, or does that give, you think, connotations of somebody on a building site potentially?
I think there's still a lot of stock in apprenticeships. I think if we sort of scale back a little bit and look at, that demographic as a whole, there's questions that have been asked about the validity of a university degree these days. Do you rack up a lot of debt and come out of it with something that won't necessarily help you pay that back? I think there's a lot to be said about apprenticeships. And I think there's a lot to be said about really pushing those, regardless of whether it is on the tools or an apprenticeship sitting in a studio learning how to design what is effectively one of the most complex rooms in the house.
I mean, putting Caesarstone to one side and talking generically, do you think that manufacturers in KBB could do a lot more other than just product training to try and support their outfits with more business information, which would include apprenticeship hires and potentially include things like sales training, that sort of thing? Do you think other manufacturers would consider doing that, or do you think actually if they did that, it would simply be helping the competition?
I think it's, from my perspective, I see some doing that and very much on that train now. And putting the money where their mouth is. So I see KB retailers that have got apprenticeships and they are doing press and PR around this. They're very vocal.
There's more trade activity, trade press activity, I would say.
But from my perspective, it seems to be few and far between.
Well, maybe that's a message that perhaps if we can all help each other and support each other with the right information, then potentially we get more qualified people. Maybe less going to university having a £70,000 debt around their neck, and more people earning what they learn, which professionalises the industry.
And I think there's something in that. The stone industry knows it's got some problems attracting people because, like the building industry, we're mid-October now. It's dark, it's wet. I don't know if I want to be able to do that. But if you're next to standing in a retail shop environment behind a till, or learning how to design a kitchen or install a kitchen, and know which one I would take every single time.
Exactly. I think the KBB industry, so I think you mentioned you have a passion for it, John, yourself anyway, to learn anyway. We're always learning every single day, but there's so many diverse roles and responsibilities and job openings that somebody could consider doing. So I mean, one of the things we try and do is visit a couple of schools at least twice a year to say this is what you could get involved in. Have C's ever looked at doing anything like that at all with like education and getting involved from that point of view?
It's a tricky one for Caesarstone because we're kind of removed. What we've got behind us here is an enormous warehouse full of slabs, and for those slabs to really mean anything in terms of a kitchen, we have a whole fabrication industry.
It's almost indirect, isn't it? Between you've got absolutely.
But as an idea, I think that's exactly the right thing to
get you involved. Maybe that could be an output from the 4th of December, some kind of discussion around how can we perhaps sort of inspire, that's a good word, Ren Mascari uses that word, inspire people to consider KBB. So moving towards the end of our chat, so can you relay, and we always ask this question, an amusing story that we can all learn from?
An amusing story we can all learn from. The one I refer to all the time to my kids, because I have kids who are all of school and college age. And I have routinely heard from them over the years, why are we learning X? I am never going to need...
I mean like algebra, X plus Y equals minus X squared, whatever.
Exactly that. When will I ever need anything like this?
What's the value of X?
Yes. I could never tell you because I didn't do a good enough job learning that stuff. But the story I always tell the kids is actually I asked that exact question, age probably 15, about why I was sat in a class learning German. When would I ever possibly... I wasn't into languages. Why would I ever possibly need German? And 15 years later, I was working for a German car company, and it really did come back to haunt me. There you go. So, and I never learnt German particularly well. I learnt enough to
carry on the conversation in German. That would have been really cool.
It would have been cool. I didn't learn
Simon.
enough. But that I think again, it comes back to that lesson that I've sort of told the kids is what's gone into the professional curiosity. Always be learning. Always.
Absolutely, yeah.
Always try and take on more knowledge. It will always serve you well at some point. And even if you think, when am I ever going to use this? There will come a time.
Okay, so when you're getting advised by someone in life, learn this for a reason, it becomes a skill set.
Yeah.
And then you'll probably find at some point you'll use that, like having a conversation today.
Well, there you go.
You could have completed that conversation in German. So, final question. So we're going to spend a lot of time together, me and you, for the future, because hopefully we're going to support the industry with more solutions. So we're going to go out for a lovely evening meal, John, me and you together, yeah? Are we going to go Turkish, or we're going to go Italian, we're going to pub grub, we're going to Chinese, or we're going to go Indian? Which is your tipple?
So we're in Enfield in North London, and we are blessed with very close proximity to here. It's a very good Turkish and Lebanese restaurant. That. So I'm going to go Lebanese.
Lovely. And would you wash that down with red wine, water, or would you do beer?
I'm going to go beer.
FS, there you go. Bit of advertising there.
Absolutely.
John Stanley, thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Movers and Shakers. We hope you've enjoyed what you've heard today. The episode will feature on Apple and Spotify, also YouTube and our own social media channels. If you are watching on YouTube, you can click the bell icon to receive future notifications, and we do love your comments. Please leave your comments. Thank you for watching.